talk about the economy, the Supreme Court's landmark abortion rights decision, and the January 6th committee with Republican Senator from Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Senator, welcome back.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the economy, because in all of the polls, Fox News and all the others out there, the economy shows up as the #1 concern for most Americans and potentially what's going to drive their votes in the fall. But the DNC tweets this out tonight. It says, since President Joe Biden took office, the economy has added 8.7 million jobs. The unemployment rate dropped from 6.4% to 3.6%. The Biden-Harris administration is helping our economy get back on track. They say the stats are there, but there may be some trouble with the messaging. Your response?
Well, they are completely off message, because the problem is they have driven this inflation rate to the highest point in 40 years. And Shannon, they have done it through energy, with what they have done to the Keystone Pipeline, stopping our domestic production. They could fix this if they were to change energy policy, and also if they were to stop the out-of-control federal spending. Every economist that you read is saying the two biggest contributors to the inflation rate are those two items, energy and the out-of-control government spending. And as I'm out and about talking to county mayors and elected officials, this affects their budget because of EMS, first responders, police, sheriffs, school buses, all that use that fuel at the pump, and it is absolutely wrecking their budgets. We know with consumers, it is wrecking their budget every time they go to the grocery store, every time they go to fill up the car. So this is hitting people in the pocketbook, at the kitchen table. It is causing them to change the way they live, and it is frightening to so many Tennesseans that I talk to every single day.
Let's go to the issue of abortion. We have talked many times about the investigations that you led into Planned Parenthood, the videos that we saw years ago, allegations about whether they were breaking the law with selling fetal body parts, all of those kinds of things. So Roe is now overturned, meaning this goes back to the states, the question of abortion. And there are a number of people on the left very upset about that, including Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Here's her take on what she thinks should happen now.
I believe that he should forcefully come out in ending the filibuster of the United States Senate. I believe that he should call on Congress to repeal the Hyde Amendment. We can only do it if we're not fighting with one hand tied behind our back, let alone two.
So calls for packing the Supreme Court, for potentially setting up abortion clinics on federal lands, national parks. There are all kinds of things being considered. Health and Human Services Secretary says everything's on the table. What do you make of where we go next, and the possibility of trying to get federal funding, taxpayer funding for abortions, and some of the other conversations?
Well, I think we have to look at what the Democrats do when they lose. And that is, they go to rioting, they go to changing the rules. This is how they act. And they know that they are not going to get their way at going through the legislative process. So they're trying to do a workaround. And Shannon, what they're going to find out is that the American people are not for late-term abortion. They're not for abortion anytime, anywhere. What they do appreciate is that this is going to go back to the states, and the states are going to set the regulations and restrictions on abortion. That's the way it ought to be. And it's going to be different in different states. And that is the concept of federalism. I'm just really grateful that President Trump gave us justices who are constitutionalists. We're not going to agree with everything that they do, but they're calling balls and strikes. And I appreciate the way they have handled this session of the Supreme Court.
We get the final two opinions tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. We will, of course, be covering that live. In the meantime, there are a number of Democrats who think this the Supreme Court's decisions will be a rallying cry for their voters, for their base. I talked to one of the very top Republican leaders in the party who says he does have some worries that Republican voters may, because these polls have been so in the favor of the GOP, they may be a little lethargic about getting out and showing up, where the Democrats are now suddenly going to become more motivated. Can you give us a quick comment about going into the midterms?
Yeah, going into the midterms, I think that what you're going to see from conservative voters, they have seen that their dedication and their work for 50 years has paid off. They are energized. They know that they have made a difference, and they're going to turn out. I've been really very pleased with so many conservative voters that I've seen at the polls or have seen out and about, and how they are already beginning to work to register voters, to reach out, to try to use their influence for good in their communities. That's a good thing.
Well, we will watch. Our countdown clock is on to those midterms and what hangs in the balance in both the Senate and the House. Senator, thank you for joining us.
Good to be with you.